It is about 10 after 6. I'm Todd Sievers. I'm the chairman of the Finance Committee. To my right is Mr. Phillips. To my left is Mr. Rozelle. We have two issues to come before the Finance Committee. The first is to provide a recommendation to council regarding an adjustment to certain fees, Development Department related to DRO review and zoning verification letter, Fire Department related to CPR first aid training, transport mileage rate for ambulance services, and the treatment no transport rate. Mr. Tiddington or Salome, who's going to address this?
I'll take care of that. First of all, for the record, today is Monday, February 27th. I believe you skipped right to the time. So
That's February 24th, right?
No.
27th.
12 years birthday.
Yes, February 27th.
It's okay. You got the date last time. Don't worry.
Anyway, so we are recommending some adjustments to fees. You'll notice that the fee schedule is a lot more comprehensive. We took some fees that have been codified, so there's no changes to them, and we wanted to put them into one spreadsheet, and then we'll be able to put those all on the website for people to be able to easily navigate to the relevant sections. So Salome, Ms. Hecate, has done that for us, and we're passing that around. The reason it's passed around is one of the fees that is on the list that Mr. Sievert just mentioned is a new fee related to CPR training. That is a fee that we were recommending at $40. That is in line with several of the other communities. It's also in line with what at least one of the private organizations charge for CPR training, and that's initial training, which has to be done in person, not the retraining and the recertification, which you can often do online. And in fact, some of the in-person training is higher than the $40 an hour. When we broke it down to include the costs, the operating costs, the materials costs, if we have a class of 10 people at a CPR class, it breaks down to between $275 and $300, depending on the cost of the supplies, the materials, the workbooks, etc. That includes 4 hours of overtime for one of our firefighter paramedics to lead the class. To be competitive, but to also offer a service in talking with Mr. Sievert and with the mayor, as well as offset most, if not all, of our costs, most of those costs, but to at least have some costs so that it's not seen as a free service and will hopefully not get us overwhelmed. We are recommending that for individual classes, and by that I mean an individual simply signs up for a CPR class, it would be probably capped at around 10 people per class. We are recommending $25. We do include a $50 corporate rate, and the reason that is that those are bigger. Those are requested by a corporation or business. They're typically more in the 20-person range, which necessitates, so that they can get the true CPR training, an extra person, extra staff to come in and lead that class and co-coordinate that class. So that's the one modification to the fee schedule chart that we had sent to you. The other fees that are included, this is a new fee for DRO applications, something that we had anticipated on doing. We hadn't done it up to this point. It would be $200, which is the same as other development fees, such as a PD fee, which this is very much like, as well as variance requests. Also recommending that the zoning verification letter fee be increased from $25 to $50. There are additional labor costs involved with providing the document, and that's not just typing it up on a computer, that's going out and verifying and doing the analysis and making sure that the zoning is appropriate and everything that goes in with that. And the staff did calculate that the costs are $50, not $25, and it's been a long time since that's been looked at. Fire, we had a conversation with our EMS transport billing company. They indicated that we are low in a couple of our fees, and so they've recommended that we adjust those fees accordingly. I will note that many of our transports follow the Medicare and Medicaid guidelines in the federal government. Those costs and fees can vary, and often we're maxed there, so we're not always going to be able to collect these rates. These would just be the maximum that we could bill. I believe that's all that I have, unless you have any questions.
Mr. Tippington, first I'd like to commence by saying thank you for our candid discussion today, throughout the day, and to the mayor and to Salome. As we all watched what happened with Damar Hamlin, it is important for us to know CPR, and this was one area where we are actually having citizens learn how to help citizens, and I just personally objected to the price. I couldn't include my other two committee members in our communication because that would violate the Sunshine Law, so I communicated directly to Mr. Tippington that I thought $40 was too high. If you had a family of four, that would be $160 versus $100, and I think it's imperative that this opportunity exists for as many people who can learn this important skill to be able to do that, and I applaud our fire department for reaching out to provide this service, and I certainly hope that people take advantage of this as we all watched how important it is to know that. So I would begin by thanking you again, Mr. Tippington, for our candid conversation. Anybody, Mr. Phillips, do you have any questions or any comments you wish to talk about?
Well, no, because yes, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I'm glad that I'm getting under the wire here because of my recent transport, saving a couple $100 for the insurance company.
I don't know that you changed that one, did you?
Yeah, there's no retroactivity, I noted there.
That's not grandfather.
Depends when they bill it.
Do any of the certification letters or the downtown riverfront overlay, do any of those paperwork products that we need to supply, do they come with a stamp of approval or a notary? Do they require certain things like that?
I don't believe they do, and we don't charge for notary service anyway. And we have 2 notaries, one of whom's in the audience.
Right, okay. Not knowing what your conversation was, but we could have it now. Any other thing on the indication of, or the pricing of the CPR type stuff other than what you've mentioned, Mr. Seaver?
No, I initially wanted to do it at no charge, and because I do think it's an important public service, and after some discussions with Mr. Tippington and he providing some information about what actual costs are, I do think this is in line. We looked at Blue Ash, and I think they charge $29 or something like that.
25.
25. So we're comparable to an existing issue. I would like to have seen it no charge, but I certainly am agreeable to do it at $25, and I think that's nominal, and hopefully we get a lot of people to learn how to do it. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, one of the concerns about the no charge, first of all, we did want to have a charge because there are some pass-through costs, like the cost of certification that has to be filed.
Right.
And also, if you have no charge, it would be difficult to control and screen out in a non-discriminatory way, who you select and who you don't. as much, we'd like to keep it to residents. Not sure that we could realistically do that, and there are many, pre-application requirements for different employment that require some certifications such as this.
Yeah, no, and again, I appreciate Mr. Simmons and yourself providing explanation of this.
But even at this rate, I think that is cheaper than Red Cross, isn't it?
It is much
Yes.
cheaper than Red Cross.
Right, okay.
Right.
40 for the recertification, the in-person was 87, I think.
Yeah, we did some research on it.
Now, I think they do a dual certification, they include some AED certification with it.
And first aid, I think.
Well,
Probably,
maybe a little bit,
maybe
yeah.
EMS.
I think they did first aid, AED, and for $80, whatever it was, and CPR.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rozell, anything?
Just curiosity question. Do we have a lot of people wanting to sell their grave plots back?
I wouldn't say a lot, but it's
I mean, it comes up every
steady.
once
I
in a
mean, we put that in the budget as a refund amount, and they will sell it back at cost. Situations change, they move out of town, they, decide to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I was just curious of how many we had. Yeah, because everybody has a few.
And just as, I've done a little, well, of course where you work, but I've done a little research. We brought up a prepaid thing here. It's not necessarily transferred to where you ever may move at some point in time, so.
Any other council members have any comments?
Apparently not.
Hearing none. Mayor, Salome, Mark, anybody else have any comments on that issue? Okay. Mr. Phillips, how would you wish to proceed on Finance Committee Issue 1 regarding fees?
We need to go ahead and proceed as staff is recommending on these four or five items.
Mr. Rozell?
Concur.
And it would be unanimous that we proceed. I don't believe we need emergency, right?
No.
Yeah. So we would move that we would proceed. The second issue before Finance Committee is to provide a recommendation to council regarding authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to execute opioid settlement agreements and related documents with Trevia, Allergan, Walmart, Walgreens, and CVS, so that the documents can be executed and returned without delay. Consideration of an emergency legislation is requested. Mr. Tiddick, I'll turn that one over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The council has already approved 2 previous settlements. These are 5 new ones that the state has gotten settled, and for us to participate in those settlements, the council needs to execute or have me execute the agreements and any related documents. Those documents need to be filed end of March, early April, and so we are asking for emergency legislation so that we can make sure that we get it in and meet the deadline in case there's any modifications we need to make once we file it.
It seems pretty self-evident, but I will open the floor. Mr. Phillips, you have any
I have
questions?
no comments on it.
Mr. Rozell, everyone agree? Anyone in the audience have any questions about that? Seeing none, move forward unanimously?
Move
Mr.
forward.
Phillips?
With emergency.
Mr. Rozell? We would move forward with emergency unanimous recommendation from Finance Committee. That would be then the Finance Committee. Thanks, everybody, for their tolerance in waiting for me.